Overtime!
Hey guys, I'm Charlie. You're watching Overtime Arcade, and you know how I've been saying that I'm behind on doing pickup videos and I need to get caught up with that? Well, I've made it worse. I picked up 3 more cabinets last weekend. I can explain! So 2 of these were actually grabbed by Jeremiah from Coin Op Corner and the Coin Jam podcast. He picked them up in Kentucky a while back, and he's been holding onto them for me. So I went and grabbed them from him. We'll talk about that more at a later date. But this other machine, there's a bit of a story behind it. So I've got this buddy, Mark. He owns a really, really cool store near me that sells records and video games and comic books. It's called Back to the Media. I've got his t-shirt on right here. Awesome guy. He runs that store with his wife, Danny. Awesome people. And if you're into that kind of stuff, you know, obviously video games or vinyl records, comics, whatever, you should definitely check out his shop. Again, Back to the Media in Winchester, Virginia. They also do on Facebook frequently auctions, online auctions of vinyl records. So check that out. I'll put a link in the video description. Anyway, Mark is building an arcade for his back room at his shop. So, you know, pretty soon you'll have an awesome arcade in Winchester to go and check out. And, you know, he's been working on all these games in his garage. We've been trading, you know, sort of tips back and forth. And also we've been helping each other out, kind of score deals, right? Find deals. And that's something that I highly recommend. You know, it's one of my sort of secrets on how I get awesome deals on all of these machines. You know, have friends that are also looking for stuff for you and look out for them. But anyway, so Mark's been looking for a Konami Simpsons game for his arcade, you know, 4-player beat 'em up with Simpsons characters. And he found one for sale recently, you know, sort of in our local area, but the seller just wouldn't budge on the price, right? And he was trying to get it down to, you know, somewhat close to a market price for a Project Simpsons working, but, you know, needs restoration. And, you know, he was asking me for advice or whatever. And I said, well, let me, you know, contact the seller and see if I can, you know, do anything, you know, I don't know, maybe lowball them, which makes your, you know, offer look better in you know, contrast, you know, position wise or whatever. So I reach out to the seller, and yeah, they don't want to move, you know, on the price. But I asked them a question that you always want to ask, you know, somebody that's selling their stuff, selling arcade machines on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever. Ask them, do you have anything else for sale? Are you selling any other games that aren't listed? Do you want to get rid of anything else? And so the seller, you know, sends me a couple of photos. I'll show them here. There was a Ms. Pac-Man, which, you know, whatever. I've got one that I'm working on. No big deal. And there was this other game, Depthcharge, that I saw. And I asked, well, you know, how much do you want for these other games? And the seller said 500 for the Ms. Pac, which, you know, not crazy, but not an awesome deal. And they only wanted $100 for this Depthcharge, which was allegedly working. And I immediately said, yes, I will pay your full asking price of $100 for that Depthcharge. And we worked out a time to go pick this thing up. So if you're not familiar with it, Depthcharge is actually a black and white Bronze Age game. So, you know, arcade collectors talk about Bronze Age and Golden Age. Bronze Age is sort of the first sort of generation of coin-operated arcade video games, starting with the release of Computer Space in the early 70s and kind of ending with the release of Space Invaders. And then obviously after that came Asteroids and Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and all that sort of thing, which ushered in the Golden Age, right? And most of what I collect is Golden Age machines, right? Joust, Robotron, Tempest, you know, that sort of stuff. But you know, Bronze Age really isn't something that I've ever super been into. Obviously, there's cool games like, you know, Pong, the original Atari Pong, and Breakout. But you know, anything that really was striking my fancy. But I was familiar with this game, Depthcharge, which is pretty well regarded for a black and white Bronze Age game. It was developed by UPL and released by Gremlin in 1977, before Gremlin was acquired by Sega. And basically you are this naval destroyer, floating on the surface of the ocean, dropping depth charges, trying to destroy enemy tanks down below. So anyway, I figured for $100 I couldn't go wrong. I think this is somewhat of an uncommon game that people actually like, for Bronze Age games. So anyway, why don't we go hop in the truck, get stuck in traffic on our way to Maryland, and pick up this $100 working depth charge. Let's go! Well, Depthcharge is off the truck and in the garage. And wasn't that hailstorm crazy? Crazy. I'm not sure I've ever seen hail that large in my life in person. Yeah, and I often get a lot of grief from people because of how OCD I am about strapping everything down and wrapping it up in moving blankets and tarps and all of that. And yeah, that's exactly the reason why I go through all of that trouble. It was perfectly sunny and beautiful when I picked up the game and loaded it up on the truck. And I thought about not doing any kind of wrapping or anything, but I checked the weather and there was a chance of some storms in the area, so I figured better to be safe than sorry. And yeah, sure, definitely lucked out with that. But yeah, the cabinet doesn't seem to be any worse for the wear. It had the moving blanket and the tarps on top of it, and so I don't notice any damage at all. But yeah, really nice condition marquee here. Almost too good to be true. Really looks beautiful. And Depthcharge is a black and white game, and it has this sort of blue, transparency to kind of set a bit of a tone or a hue to the game. I notice there's a little sort of, I don't know if this is starting to peel on the inside. I think it's just applied to the inside of the bezel. Control panel, it's not perfect. It's got some patina, got a hole right here, and I'm assuming these are cigarette burns, and definitely has to be cleaned. And I don't think these are the correct buttons, actually. I checked pictures online and in flyers, and everywhere else I've seen these buttons are actually red. So I think I'm going to order a new set of red leaf switch buttons, but I'll have to figure out, are these long or short? I'm assuming they're long, but you never know. Yeah, this will clean up okay. We got some work to do here on the coin door. One of these coin rejects is kind of barely coming in and out. It's got these sort of push buttons, and this one doesn't want to come out at all. This front of the the kick plate of the cabinet looks like it's been painted. You can see some of the artwork poking through here, and I believed it should have some kind of a decal, a sticker, and I don't know if it was damaged or what, but it's been painted over, so we'll have to see what's going on with that. Maybe strip the paint and take it from there. I can see some of the vinyl decal has been removed. It looks like at some point there was maybe duct tape or something holding the coin door closed, and when it was peeled off, it took some of the artwork with it, which is unfortunate, but yeah, not too bad. And down here again, you can see artwork poking through sort of all over. We have a little bit of edge repair to do down here, not so bad. Probably want to put some new T-molding on it just because it's chewed up in a few spots. And the side here, one side does still have the side art, and you know, there's a bit of it removed or missing down here, but I'd say it's, you know, 95% intact and kind of cool looking. We have some somewhat recent graffiti. I think this was from one of the owner's kids. So shout out to the OG Bosses gang. And I don't know if this is original, this sort of black stripe at the bottom, but again, a little bit of edge repair needed down there. Back of the cabinet looks sort of fine. There is a sticker here that did originally have a serial number, but it's been mostly sort of ripped off. That's okay. Again, some repair work needed at the bottom if I even bother messing with the back of the cabinet. This is a replacement power cord, obviously not original. And look at that, the grounding plug has been removed. So even though, like I showed you video of it working at the seller's house, I'm not going to want to plug that in. We'll replace that before plugging it in. Got a speaker grill up on top. We're missing one of the, or right here, one of the screws holding it in is missing, so we'll replace that. But yeah, I think we're looking pretty good. And this is the other side. Obviously, the side art has been completely removed on this side here, but you know, not so bad. Some scuff marks, but should clean up nicely. So I think my first move will be to replace this power cord. But to do that, obviously, we'll need to open up the cabinet. So let me get the camera on the tripod and we'll do that. All right. I don't believe these are the original locks by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. And yeah, I know, don't worry. I did a little bit of cleaning in the garage here. None of the projects have left. I still have, gosh, I think 15 projects at my last count in here. There's 10 right here. Call this 11, 12, which I haven't talked about, 13, 14, 15, 16 if you count the little mini JAMA cab, and there's kind of a 17th thing, which definitely probably doesn't count. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get this back door off. Okay, put that to the side. Nothing on the inside of the back door except sort of a little piece of metal here designed to actuate the interlock switch, I believe. So let's come in here. We'll look at the monitor. And again, this is a black and white monitor. This is a XM501. So I think that's a pretty common black and white raster monitor. This is my first black and white raster monitor. Yeah, I do have the two black and white vectors for Armor Tech and Asteroids, obviously. Look at that old school looking flyback right there. And no neck board, but yeah, it's working. We have some QA sticker over here for the final check of the cabinet before it went out. If we look up here, we've got the speaker and marquee light. And I'm guessing that that is a replacement marquee light and not the original fixture, but that's okay. And some like tape here. I don't know what's going on with that. We'll get rid of that. Coming down here, we have the interlock safety switch right there, which is not just a switch. I think this is like, this is where the power cord goes into. So that's where we're going to need to replace. We're going to open that up to replace the power cord. Coming over here, we have our PCB. And I don't know what's going on with all of this wiring. I don't know if this is how it came from the factory. I mean, there's a wire that looks like it's been cut right there. There's a couple of pins that have been removed. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I need to maybe find some pictures online if I can find of other Depthcharge boards and see if that looks normal or not. And look at these like traces, just how sort of wavy they kind of look. You know, not straight lines there. I don't know if that was some sort of aesthetic or what. Look at that, how just wavy they are. Interesting. And here is, I believe this is the soundboard. This is the power supply with an isolation transformer. And what does it say right there? Gremlin Industries, San Diego, California, serial number 05486. Okay, cool. So everything looks to be in order. It definitely smells like cigarette smoke pretty heavily, and there's a lot of dust and bugs in here. What's this sticker? If at any time the TV screen shows a meaningless display or the game otherwise malfunctions, simply drop a coin into the coin mech. This should correct the problem. Does that like reset the game or something? Interesting. Does the logic get into a weird state and then dropping a coin resets it somehow? Weird. So yeah, let's dig in to this sort of box right here and see if we can go ahead and replace the power cord. Okay, so I'm just going to come in here and take this wing nut off that's holding the cover onto this, I don't know, junction box or whatever you want to call it. Okay, and what do we have in here? So there's a fuse. It says it's a 12 amp fuse and sort of a distribution block here. Yeah, what is the deal with this power cord? Let me get in there with my flashlight and screwdriver. Okay, so we come in here, ground goes there. I guess it just screws into these terminals. Let me get a flathead bit. All right, actually first I need a regular Phillips head to remove this wire tie. All right, take that off. There is a strain relief bushing here, but I don't think it's actually on the cable. All right, how am I going to do this without getting in the way of the camera? Okay, interesting. That's the grounding wire, and the neutral is right there. I want to put these wires back in place so I don't screw them up, put them in the wrong spots. Though I guess it really wouldn't be that easy to do since the colors are matching. Hopefully my head's not in the way. Green to green, white to white, and black to black, but just to be safe, we'll do that. So there's ground, here is neutral, if I can fish it out. Come on. Okay, and where does the live wire go? Is that up there? Is there nothing else connected to that position? Yeah, interesting. Okay. All right. Feed that through. Put this screw back in place, and yeah, this should be actually super easy to replace it. So I don't know if you can see, give you a closer look here, what's going on. Yeah, we've just got this distribution block, and we'll just need to screw the wires in for our new power cord, and I've got one right here. I always have a few on hand from arcadepartsandrepair.com, and let's see, is this one as long as the old one was? Maybe a foot shorter. That's fine. It's grounded. That's what matters. So And I can always put a longer one on if I need to. So what I'm going to do is cut these wires. Let's see if I have enough. Yeah, I'm going to need more slack to get to, that's going to kind of leave this as a pretty short wire. Why don't I actually grab another one that's a bit longer. All right, now we're in business. Here's a 15-foot one that I got from Monoprice. So we'll have plenty of cable length for this sucker. All right, there we go. Nice grounding plug on it. Will be nice and safe. So let's see. Yeah, we got tons of slack here. Let me cut this excess insulation off. Okay, let's see. If we come in here, feed this through just like it was. All right. I don't know if I can work this into the, there we go. All right, we're in the strain relief bushing. Come in here and put our cable tie back in place. There's a ton of dust in here. And like I said, this thing smells pretty heavily like cigarette smoke. So we'll be fixing that. We'll be addressing that before this comes into the house. But for now, it'll just be in the garage. Okay. How's that? Oh, we got more. All right. I like that. Okay, we're looking good. And we'll start with the live wire. And this is going to be a little bit awkward to do on camera, so let me, I'm going to strip these wires, get them into hooks, and screw them back onto the distribution block. So let me go do that real quick and come back. Okay, we're all wired back up. I've got the grounding wire going to the green, the neutral going to the white, and the black going to the live in this distribution block here. So I think we can go ahead and cover this back up. All right. And yeah, if you notice some a stain on my shirt, it's because I was eating udon noodles for dinner just a moment ago and slopped it all over myself. So it happens. Right, make sure I don't pinch any wires here. And yeah, it's snug like that. So let me clean up a little bit here. Get the tools and wire insulation out of here. So yeah, I think we're good to go as far as that's concerned. I also want to take a look, and let me raise the tripod here. I want to take a look at what's going on in the front of the cabinet, get a look under the control panel and behind this bezel. Okay, grab the key off of the back door. And we'll open it up down here. Okay, what's going on here? We've got a little metal coin box here, kind of small, with, I'm guessing, what was the original ballast from the original fluorescent light assembly. We have another set of keys in here, and I have no idea if these are spare keys. Let me stick it in the back door and see if this fits. Oh, okay, yeah, it's a spare set of keys. Whoop, I dropped the ballast. Probably broken anyway. Okay, what else we got going on here? So this is a little bit interesting. I noticed this from the the flyer that I looked at for depth charge. It's got little control or a utility panel here just for a volume knob. So it's a little volume pot to control the volume. It says easy adjust trademark controls up and down Gremlin Industries. And the flyer said that this was a new feature so that you could very easily control the volume without having to adjust something on the PCB. I guess that was innovative back in the day. So the left coin slot is missing. It's coin mech. The right one has one right here, which is great. Yeah, I guess I'll have to figure out. And this is not like a typical pork chop type of coin reject, so figure out what we can do there. And wiring is cut here, but the coin switches are intact, or the credit switches, so that's good. And we have a, let me show you. I always like taking a look at this. We have a coin counter, and this one says 48,942, and we'll ask Professor Pac-Man to do the math for us on that. But yeah, is that over $10,000 in quarters passed through this machine, so pretty impressive there. And let me see if there's latches here to open up the control panel, or how this works. Whoa! Oh! Is this there's a thumb screw or wing nut here that I'm undoing, and I'm assuming this will allow me to pull the control panel back. Yeah, and typically with later games there are latches, but as we saw with the recent Asteroids Cabaret, that was not the case. All right. Is there more? Yeah, there's one over here. Maybe there's three. Let me do these real quick. All right, all three wing nuts have been removed. So I think the control panel will fold out now. Is it on a hinge? No. No hinge. It looks like, is this supposed to have bolts? No. Is there a Molex to disconnect the control panel? No. All of those modern conveniences from later games are not present. Man, it is getting humid. It has been, hear the neighbor kids screaming while they're playing. It has been raining nonstop for days here in Virginia, and it is now humid as heck. So we can see, this is interesting. What in the world is going on here? So this is a metal control panel, and you can see there are holes here that have been repaired and like tack welded. This is so strange to me. And let's see if the gimbal will cooperate. We've got like three here, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And I'm guessing maybe it was originally 4 and 4. Man, and then I'm guessing they drilled another one. But this is so strange to me. Was this like a factory conversion? This control panel was intended for like another Gremlin game before they repurposed it to Depthcharge and went to took the trouble of filling these holes and welding plugs into those gaps. So see, I'll measure and see what are these long leaf switches. I don't know. Maybe they're short because this is a metal control panel, but there's all these spacers here. I'll figure out what I want to order for the replacement buttons. But isn't that interesting? Okay, and to get the bezel off, I noticed that, let me put this sort of kind of back in place. Is there a, yeah, okay, I'll put it like that. There's these 5 carriage bolts. I think this is just really, and I got rustle over my hands, really thick, or nicotine or something. Really tar. This is like really thick plastic, and there are these 5 carriage bolts to take off. So let me go and do this by hand real quick. Okay, and there's the 5th bolt right there. And I can feel it trying to slide off. So, all right, let's see. There's this piece, just sort of a filthy, thick black plastic frame. Okay, and I'm assuming that holds our glass or whatever this is, plexi maybe. The marquee is plexi, but I'm not sure. Let's see if I can maybe. Oh my goodness. All right. Slide this up so it doesn't fall. There we go. Here's our tinted blue. Yeah, this is, oh, that's filthy. Look how much dust there is on the inside of this thing. And I think, oh, this is like an inclusion or a crack maybe here in the corner. Yeah, I thought this was like something folded over, but it's not like a, this is not a film. This is blue all the way through. Look at the edge. This is blue plexiglass. Wild. Let me go, I'm gonna use some Novus and clean this up real quick just so that we have a better image on the screen. But before I do that, we'll just take a closer look at what's going on inside here. Here's another sort of bezel. This is almost like a shroud. Again, real thick plastic. And I'm not going to clean everything, but oh, and we do have a little bit of screen burn. It's not too bad though. Yeah, I'm going to clean the monitor screen. I'm going to clean the plexi. I'm going to use glass cleaner on the monitor screen. Then I'm going to clean the the tinted plexi with Novus for a plastic cleaner. I think that should be good. And then we'll be in business. So I'll be back momentarily. Okay, we're all clean and buttoned back up. And look how nice and shiny that is. Let me tell you, that monitor glass and that tinted plexi was so unbelievably filthy. I don't think it had been cleaned since the 70s, since it was made in 1977. So what's that? 46 years ago, right? Going on 5 decades. I used this Sprayway glass cleaner and Novus One. Obviously the Sprayway glass cleaner, which Troy from Troy's Restorations put me onto. Used that on the monitor glass itself, the tube itself, which again was filthy. And then I used this Novus One plastic cleaner on the tinted plexi. You don't want to use, I think I've mentioned this before, you don't want to use glass cleaner on plexi because you can really risk fogging it up. And yeah, look how shiny that looks. We actually got, there's some scuffing here that cleaning it actually revealed. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And you know, when I was playing this at the seller's house, and I mentioned this, the game looked a little bit out of focus. And so I actually looked up how to adjust the focus on an XM501 because it's not sort of necessarily immediately obvious. You have some pots here on the kind of frame of the monitor, but none of these is focus. The focus pot is actually right there, and the light won't actually catch it. So, but I don't know if I'm actually going to have to do that now because as dirty as this tube was, come on. Sometimes this gimbal has a mind of its own. As filthy as that tube and plexi bezel was, maybe that was what was causing the sort of blurry picture. But I think, now that we've got everything buttoned back up, we're ready to fire up this sucker and see if the game is still working. But before we do that, I'd like to share with you a very important message from a cause that's near and dear to my heart. Every year, thousands of classic arcade machines are destroyed by rot, neglect, or abuse. Many of those that do survive suffer the humiliating fate of some pathetic multicade conversion in dung heaps like this. Poor little fella. I'm Charlie from Overtime Arcade. I've been asked if after witnessing this god-awful misery for the past 40 years, if I've finally gotten used to this. Used to this? How can any arcade enthusiast with eyes and ears and a heart get used to this? The vile odor of a nicotine-stained cabinet where hundreds of mice use the same control panel as a toilet. The heartbreaking squeak of a four-way joystick so worn out its ball top is coming loose. The sight of a CRT monitor so tired it's too dim to see. And one with so many cold solder joints it doesn't even have the high voltage for neck glow. It's enough to make Eugene Jarvis cry. Now, we can't save them all, but with your help, we can save some, and all you have to give is $1.99 per month. That's less than 7 cents a day. Your 7 cents will help restore one of these otherwise doomed machines back into a clean and bright working arcade game. Put life-giving new capacitors into a dying little chassis. Nourishing paint onto dilapidated side art. Fresh transistors into a busted old power supply. And if you become an Overtime Arcade channel member on YouTube right now, you'll get something that's good for your heart. An assortment of exclusive channel membership perks, including early access to new videos, an invitation to our members-only Discord, a monthly members-only live stream, and so much more. Can you think of a better reason to support Overtime Arcade right now than to give some classic arcade machine another chance to spread joy and happiness again with gamers young and old? Right, Donkey Kong? And with that out of the way, I think we are ready to fire up Depthcharge. So I've got the new power cord plugged in, everything's set and ready to go. The back door is off, just in case I need to make a focus adjustment. And this is one of those games that doesn't actually have a power switch. You just plug it in and it turns on. We do have this interlock switch, which I will use as a power switch for here. So let me pull it out in 3, 2, 1. And here we go. Sounded like we had a little a boom sound and a little twinkle sound. And there we go. I do have the volume pot turned up all the way, just so that you'll be able to hear what's going on the game, the sound effects. The sound comes out of the top here, single speaker, although the flyer said something about surround sound or something like that. I hear some noise, probably because I have it turned up all the way. But yeah, let's see. Maybe I can make some focus adjustments. I have my, where is it? My adjustment tool, here we go, right here. My basically plastic screwdriver. The monitor is also twitching a little bit. Look at this connection wire. Ooh, okay, I can even see it reflecting, that it sort of flakes out. And all I'm doing is sort of touching the the plug, which is both. There's a single Molex connector that goes into the monitor, and that delivers both the power and the video signal, which is shockingly few number of wires because this is a black and white monitor. So I don't know if I'll be able to see. Well, I think the vertical size I want to adjust too. Let me try doing that first. Vertical hold, horizontal hold, brightness, contrast. That's width. Vertical hold, there's a volume button, or a volume knob. Let me look up real quick how to adjust the vertical size. Okay, I checked the manual, and vertical size is sort of right here in the middle of the end of the chassis, like directly under the neck. So let me see if I can peek around the corner here. And yeah, we can make an adjustment. I don't know if there's a vertical position, but that looks pretty okay. How does that look on screen? Yeah, there's still a gap at the top. I don't know if there's a vertical position. Let me try messing with vertical hold and see if that does anything. Yeah. Let me look up one more thing real quick. Okay, I couldn't find a vertical position adjustment. I don't know what's going on here with that. Block instead of a 0 for the high score. Let me just try the vertical linearity pot here, which again is like right under the neck. Let's see if that, ooh. That's helping. And then we try the size pot again. Hey, that's maybe a little too much. All right. I'd say that looks pretty darn good. We're kind of filling the picture here. Nothing's occluded, so I think that's good. And yeah, we still got that twitching. So I'm probably going to have to maybe recrimp the connectors for that input cable. But yeah, I think, oh, and is my, huh. We try this. Oh, there we go. I noticed that the marquee light was out, and that's a beautiful looking marquee. And I just went in and touched the bulb, and it turned back on. So I'm guessing maybe just being jostled in the truck on the drive over just made it a little bit loose. So let's take a look at what's going on here. Depthcharge is an incredibly, incredibly simple game. This is something that could, oh, there we go. It froze for a second. Depthcharge is an incredible simple game. This could be easily on like an LCD watch or like a Game & Watch or a Tiger Electronics handheld. Let me tell you, when I was a kid, I didn't have any Game & Watches. We had Tiger Electronics handhelds. I was very deprived until we eventually got a Game Boy, but incredibly simple. Read the control panel here, the instructions to score. Hit submarine with Depthcharge, just like it says in the name. You play as this destroyer at the top. These are enemy subs at the bottom. They go back and forth. They have point values, and I think it's like the lower the sub is, typically the slower it goes and the more points that it's worth. The subs higher up, closer to the surface, they move faster but are worth less points. And you have these Depthcharge launchers on either side. You throw them off the side. There's a sort of ticker up here at the top. You can only have 6 Depthcharges in play at any one time. So it says move the destroyer with the left-hand controls and launch Depthcharges with the right-hand controls. So you have just a left and right to move the ship left and right, and that's your only degree of freedom, is going left and right along the surface. And then you have 2 fire buttons because you have launchers, Depthcharge launchers on either side. So you can fire off the left-hand side or the right-hand side, and those things just tumble down the water and hopefully hit an enemy sub. It says avoid the mines released by enemy subs. If your destroyer is hit, you lose half your score. So you see periodically there's these little things that almost look like bubbles kind of floating towards the surface. Those are mines. The subs are releasing mines to try to destroy you. You have infinite lives, okay? And you saw in the attract mode, the destroyer was just destroyed by a mine. You have infinite lives, but every time your ship is destroyed, you lose half of your score. Your score is cut in half. And obviously, you know, like most arcade games, certainly of this era, it's a score attack situation. With this game here, and a lot of Bronze Age games, you have a set amount of time, okay? So you get, I don't know what it is, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, something like that to start. That might be a dip switch setting. And you're trying to kill as many tanks and score as many points in that sort of fixed amount of time. But like it says here, extended time awarded for score of 500 or more, right? And so if you, by that, you know, at the end of that time, if you have scored 500 points, you get an additional 30 seconds or whatever it is. And it's actually called overtime, and you'll see overtime in the upper left-hand corner to tell you that. And now, as you destroy more and more ships, you sort of see this graveyard at the bottom where we have icons for the ships that have been destroyed, including our own ship. There's a different icon for the destroyer. And it says down here with an asterisk, 30-point bonus per sub awarded at finish. Carry on, skipper. So yeah, and so it's weird, right? Once you get to the end, you get another 30 points per sub. Don't ask me why it doesn't give you that all along. I have no idea. So with that, I think we're ready to play a little depth charge. So let me reposition the camera right here, like so. We'll get nice up and close. And I will, what else am I going to do? Let me center this a little bit better. I'm going to go and turn, is that centered? No. No, that's centered the wrong way. Okay, I'm going to turn off the house lights in the garage, the bright overhead lights. I'm also going to turn off the workbench light. And hopefully we have a nice image on the screen here, and I think we do. Black and white game with a blue tinted plexi, and I'm going to try, if I can do this in the dark, to drop in a quarter. The right side. Okay, I'm going to drop in a quarter. And the game starts right away. We've got 90 seconds. And like I said, I've got the sound up all the way. You probably hear some sonar sound effects. And we've got this 50-point sub. And boom. As long as it gets close, right? Proximities are proximity depth charges. See, the lower one is worth 60, and it has released a mine that I'm going to have to avoid. And we might be able to catch, yep, as long as that depth charge goes off somewhere near the sub, and I think I missed on one of them, we destroy it. And watch how there was the mine exploding. And look at that animation of the sub when it's destroyed. Isn't that cool? All right. All right, okay. So I think, have we hit them all so far? I was actually playing this on MAME. I know, don't laugh at me. I don't have a MAME machine. I don't even have MAME on my computer. But if you go to the Internet Archive, right, like the Wayback Machine, basically, there are several games that has like archives of software, including, whoops, including, whoa, and the monitor's twitching, including many arcade games. And they have basically an online browser-based version of MAME, and Depthcharge is one of the games that you can play. And we're just about to hit 500 points. Now we're at 570. So we are going to get an extended play. Ooh, there we go. Just barely got that one. All right, dropping lots of mines here. Got that 20, 40. All right, I don't know. I don't have something for that 80 down the bottom just yet. You know, it's funny, sometimes you have mines that, overtime, look at that. We did it. There we go. You know, sometimes you have a shot lined up and then another sub comes along the top moving fast and it like intercepts the shot that you have intended for a higher value target, which, you know, can tick you off. There, we got that 80. Ooh, the screen almost went out. I definitely am going to have to do something about that. Got about 30 seconds left of overtime, and you can see the bonus points racking up at the bottom. There we go. Yeah, I think that, ooh, oh no! Oh, it sunk me. Oh, did it do it twice? I guess I got sunk twice. Twice in a row. Oh my gosh. I had over 1,000 points, and now I have 350, 370. Oh my word. It's because I was talking and not paying attention. And we're almost out of time here. I don't think I'm going to be able to hit that 70-point sub. But at least we're back over 500. And yeah, those are my last shots. I don't think we're going to get anything. Nope. And now it's counting up my bonus points at the bottom. Oh man. That's what I get for not paying attention. I'm gonna grab another quarter here. We'll play one more game because these games are so short, right? What is that? 2 minutes tops. So 1582. So I guess not terrible with the bonus points. And I got a bug trying to get in here. Yeah, something screwed up down there. Let me turn the game off and back on and see if that helps with that, but I don't like the looks of that. So give it a second. There we go. Okay, that cleared out at least on the bottom, and let's play one more game, see if I can do better. I'll actually concentrate this time and try to avoid. Oop, didn't like that quarter. This is a newer quarter too. Here we go. We are cooking. All right, and that first one came out fast. Here we go. And the bugs are being attracted to the screen. I need to light a citronella candle or something. All right. You can almost just sort of like, you know, just kind of drop depth charges to sort of, you know, cover your bases, right? You don't necessarily really need to aim. You just need to kind of cover the path that the subs can take, especially at the beginning. And as you get later, right, you need to be more, you know, there's more going on. You're trying to dodge mines, right, moving back and forth like I forgot to do in the previous game. You know, you can be a little bit more strategic at that point. But yeah, it's kind of a slow-paced game, you know, certainly an interesting one. And I believe this is a pretty well-regarded game by Bronze Age standards. I can't remember. I thought it was, there was some podcast. I can't find it. I think it was, I don't know. Was it Coin Rejects or Ted Dabney? Those are really the two podcasts that I personally, you know, listen to the most, other than my own, right? The Coin Jam podcast that I do with, here we go. We got that 70 that I do with Kay from Prime Arcade. I do that with Liam from Retrobotics, and of course Jeremiah from Coin Op Corner. It's great. You should check it out. We do live streams on YouTube. We've got one coming up next Friday. This Friday this week, the 30th, I think is the next one we're going to record. Okay, I've earned overtime as long as I don't die here. Yeah, we're at 700. Yeah, you can watch the live stream on oh, I missed one over there, on YouTube, or listen to the audio version. Here we go, overtime. Listen to the audio version wherever podcasts are heard. We're on all the popular platforms: Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all that stuff. So far so good. I haven't gotten hit yet. But yeah, I think one of those podcasts was talking about Depthcharge as maybe, I don't know, is this uncommon? Certainly an enjoyable game. You know, despite it's very simple, right? Bronze Age, you know, very simple logic, simple scoring, but you know, it's all about how you play it and having fun. I know Troy Gibbs, a guy who I met recently, really nice dude. I know he's also friends with Dell from Delusionals Arcade. He's got one of these too, and says he's got a buddy who's really not even into arcades, and this is the only one that he plays. I don't know if there's something about the play mechanics that he enjoys, or you know, he remembers it from, you know, his childhood or something. 2-1. Here we go. We're counting up all our bonus points. But yeah, what a cool game. What a cool game. We turn the lights on. What's our final score? It's going to be over 2,000. 2170 is our final score. Is that good? I think I checked Twin Galaxies and the world records are in the 4,000s, which is kind of crazy. And I think you need a little bit of help from the random number generator to get a good score, because it's kind of, you know, a lot of this has to do opportunity, right? Do you get a lot of those lower 80-point subs coming through that you're able to, you know, rack up big points with? But yeah, what a cool game, what a fun game, and certainly an interesting one. Certainly one that I, you know, wasn't looking for, but I'm glad that I have it. I'll enjoy this for some years to come for sure. And we'll do a little light restoration on this. We'll sort of see what's going on with the kick plate and see if we can uncover that artwork. Maybe it's been destroyed. I haven't found anyone that's done reproductions of the side art, so I don't know what we're going to do with this left-hand side. The right-hand side, even though it's missing a chunk, we'll probably leave it just because it's original, right? We'll clear up the, we'll clean off the graffiti, and we'll clean up the control panel. I know Galloping Ghost, they have started, you know, the huge, you know, largest arcade in the world based in the Chicago area. I need to visit it sometime. They've started making their own reproduction artwork for some arcades, and they aren't doing the side art, but they have done the control panel overlay. But I think I can live with it right here. But yeah, we'll clean everything up. Well, we might even like touch up the interior paint here on both sides. It's starting to get worn off a little bit, but that marquee is beautiful. We'll obviously get this monitor dialed in. We'll clean up those connections, probably repin them, something like that, and make sure it's locked in. But yeah, and then obviously we'll touch up the edges on the bottom of the cabinet. So good stuff. So anyway, I think that'll do it for this episode. You know, I always say it. Thank you for all the support, all the subscriptions, the likes, the comments, everyone that shares this everywhere on the internet. You know, we've just become monetized, and you know, we're starting to get channel members, which is incredible. I think as of recording this, I've got 3 people who have become paid channel members, which is totally optional, but you do get access to some cool stuff like you saw in our little parody commercial. But yeah, and what's funny is, you know, 2 of the 3 channel members that we have so far are based in Norway. So many thanks to, I think it's Slowcade and Arctic Arcade, who have become paid channel members. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for that. But yeah, I think we should probably wrap it up right here. As always, thanks for watching Overtime Arcade. I'm Charlie, and I'll see you next time.
Overtime!